All right, boys. We just finished Germany turn 5. It's Russia's turn 5. But it's probably appropriate to do a troop count at this point, so let's go ahead and do it. We're going to start from left to right. We'll go with Quebec first. The British have an infantry and an artillery. In eastern United States, the U.S. has 2 infantry, 2 AA, 2 MACs. In 101, they have 2 transports, 2 destroyers, a carrier with 1 fighter. Brazil, 1 infantry. CZone 91, the Americans have 3 transports, 2 destroyers, a battleship, 2 carriers, aboard which there is 1 American fighter, 2 British, and 1 French fighter. The British also have a destroyer in 91. In Gibraltar, the Americans have 3 infantry, 1 artillery, 1 mech. Morocco, they have a tank and an infantry, as well as 1 French infantry. The British own Algeria and Tunisia, where they have 1 infantry. British have an infantry and a AA gun in Malta. The mighty Italians have an infantry, a mech, and a artillery in Libya. Tobruk is still owned by Italy, but it's vacant. Alexandria. There's now 1 Anzac infantry in Alexandria, 4 British infantry, 1 British artillery. The remaining Anzac infantry is in Cairo, along with 2 French infantry, 3 British infantry, a British mech, 2 fighters, and a tank. British retook Italian Somaliland, where they have a artillery. They moved their tank to Iraq, which is owned by the Russians. There's a rare sighting. Anyway, they got 2 infantry there. The Russians also have a mech and a tank. They landed their fighter in eastern Persia. Let's head back this way. In 97, there's a Italian sub transport, 2 destroyers. In Rome, there are 3 Italian fighters, 2 AA, 4 infantry, 2 tanks, 2 mechs. Northern Italy, an infantry, 2 infantry, 2 German infantry, an AA, 2 Italian tanks, and 1 mech. Yugoslavia, Italy has 1 infantry. Greece, Italy has 3 infantry. Italy has an AA gun, 2 artillery, and 1 infantry in Normandy. The Germans have 5 infantry, 2 AA, 1 mech, 3 artillery, and there's 6 damage on that factory. There's also 6 damage on the Paris factory. The Germans have, in Western Germany, 5 infantry, 1 artillery, 1 AA, 4 mechs, and 3 attack bombers. In 112, they have a cruiser, 2 carriers. Something ain't right. That boat should be filled with 3 fighters. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to have to double check this, but there's a battleship, a cruiser, 2 carriers, 2 fighters, 1 attack. I believe there's a fighter there. 4 subs and 6 transports. There's a destroyer in 125, 2 destroyers in 127. The Germans have 1 infantry in Karelia. In Germany, Berlin, they have 2 mechs. There's an Italian tank in eastern Poland, a German fighter and strat in western Ukraine. The Russians miraculously held on to Ukraine, where they still have 1 infantry. In Bryansk, the Germans have 9 tanks, 1 mech, 2 AA, 4 artillery. They have 1 infantry in Karelia, as we already noted. There are 3 mechs in Leningrad, 4 infantry, 1 artillery, 1 AA in Archangel. Russians have 1 infantry in Vologda. In Moscow, they have 1 artillery, 1 tank, 5 infantry. Looks like 4 infantry in Novosibirsk. In Leningrad, they have 2 tanks and 2 mechs. Proceeding on, the British in India, 2 fighters, 1 attack, 1 strat, 1 mech, 1 artillery, 3 AA, 13 infantry, 1 Japanese sub and 39. Oh, we forgot the United Kingdom. London has 2 British fighters, 2 American strats, 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 infantry, and 2 French infantry. There's also 5 AA guns, 1 mech, and 1 tank there. The Germans still own Scotland. I haven't been claiming it because it's technically your money, but yeah, you got to get around to making that in your notes. Let's go over to Sichuan. Chinese have a fighter and 3 infantry. Yunnan, 2 infantry. 1 infantry in Qichao, 1 in Hopei, 1 in Chahar. Japanese have an infantry, an AA, a TAC, and a Strat in Johal. A tank and a mech in Anhui. A tank and 2 mechs in Hong Kong. 5 TACs, 3 fighters, 1 Strat in French Indochina. 1 infantry in Siam. A factory in Malaya. In Sumatra, they have an artillery and a tank. Again, they have a sub in 39. Japanese have a battleship, a carrier, a TAC, a fighter, and 2 transports in 41. In 42, they have 2 transports, 1 cruiser, 1 destroyer, 1 battleship, 2 carriers, 3 fighters. And on Java proper, they have 2 infantry and 2 artillery. The Japanese have, looks like 7 infantry in Amur. The Russians have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 infantry and 2 artillery, 2 AA, in Sakar. Japan has 2 destroyers, a transport, a sub, a carrier with 2 fighters in C-Zone 6. And on Japan proper, 4 infantry, 3 artillery, 3 AA, The Americans took the buffer zone of 16 with 1 destroyer. Caroline Islands, the Japanese still have 2 infantry and an AA. In C-Zone 55, there's an Anzac destroyer. South Australia, 2 infantry and 1 AA for Anzac. Anzac also has 2 fighters, 1 artillery, 1 infantry, 1 AA, 1 tank in Queensland, where there's also an American Strat. C-Zone 62, Anzac has a destroyer and a transport. They have an infantry in New Zealand. In 54, Anzac has 2 fighters on a carrier. That's a damn shame. And the Americans have 2 carriers, 3 fighters, 1 TAC, 1 battleship, 1 cruiser, 1 transport, 1 destroyer, and 1 sub. In C-Zone 26, there's an American destroyer, a transport, and on Hawaii there are 2 fighters, a artillery, and an infantry. In C-Zone 10, there's a destroyer. In Western United States, there's a mech and 2 AA guns. I believe that's the whole wide world. So, anyway, good game so far, boys. Very interesting indeed.